Yep. All right. So hopefully we can get it in there at some point. But all right. Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another Mindset Saturday. We're back here doing it again. We're back here at the family cookout barbecue. All right, we're here doing it again. So welcome, welcome. Well, we're here to learn how to think, to remember who we are, to act like it, live like it, look like it, feel like it, and everything like it. That's who we really are. So it's wonderful. All right. Today is going to be a little different. I'm gonna send you. I'm having Veronica put in whenever she can. Oh, it's too long, so we'll figure it out. Maybe we can or can't. But today is going to be a little different in the way I present it to you. I'm going to start off actually with a story about me, some things that I learned this week, or was reminded of, or have a better understanding of, and then I'm going to read a couple things to you, and then you'll be able to respond. So the first one is just don't talk, just listen. All right, the first half. All right, so I decided a little while ago that I wanted to expand, right? I said, you know what? I think I want to voluptuate a little bit more. I want to blow up a little bit more. So I made a decision in my mind that that was going to happen for me. And so, and I just kept it that way and things like that. So I have been one of the things, so I teach people how to think, and I also teach basketball, things like that. I've been doing basketball training for, good Lord, long 20, over 20 years now, after I finished playing and stuff like that myself. So I have a bunch of people that I work with, and one of the places that I train at is a park down the street, has about 4 or 5 basketball courts, bunch of people out there, and I just have a bunch of people I train every day or whenever I'm training, depending on what my schedule is. Anyway, long story short, I decided I wanted to grow. So I'm out. Just when I started over there, I just kind of started. I didn't really think about how much I was going to do it or really what I wanted, but I just started. So I've been doing it for a while over there. But then, like I said, I decided I'm going to grow. So I decided that. So I just kind of had that in my mind. Same thing we're always talking about. I decided I was going to grow. Then I decided it's like, you know what? I need my own spot. I need a spot where I have more room and more space, because where I do it, there's other people that are there, and I don't want to have to be fighting for courts and all the other stuff. So I said, you know what? Let me now get me a space. So this week I was over there training, and somebody from the city approached me and said, hey, no, you have a lot of, basically you have, a lot of kids, you have a lot of people that you work with, and being that these are public parks, you can't commandeer the courts, or you know basically as you're doing, right? So I thought about it, and I listened to him, and I completely understood what he was saying, and because I do have a lot of people out there, right? I'm getting it going, right? But I decided I was going to blow it up anyway, right? So I'm out there, and so he approached me, and I said, okay. So I went home, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? Do I want to keep this going? Do I want to do something else? Do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to just drop this and just blow up the teaching even more? Or, because one thing is that as I've grown, I don't panic so much. I don't let things make me feel anyway. I decide how I want to feel. Right. So sometimes you just call it a mental timeout, an emotional timeout. You're like, okay, let me just pause for a second before I feel anything. Let me think about, what do I really want to, how do I want to think about this? What do I want to think? Right. So I thought to myself, and I said, huh, okay. And so I was thinking for a little while, and kind of talked to Veronica about it a little bit. But I really don't talk too much at the beginning, because I don't really care what anybody else thinks right away. I'm thinking about me first. Like, what do I want to think? I'm deciding. How do I want to respond to something? How do I want to react to something? Let me just think before I even think. Let me just calm down for a second. Let me just see before I have any reaction or anything like that. So anyway, I was thinking to myself, and like I said, I decided that I wanted to grow and expand. So, and I also decided as a result of that, I needed another space. So I'm sitting there, and the guy approaches me, and I say, okay. And I said, you know what? I do kind of want to move, because this is a little bit too much going on around here. So I was thinking to myself, and I had a little conversation. I was thinking to myself, and I said, "Oh, let me go to this other park up the street." So I went to this other park up the street, and there was no one there. At the same time, it was maybe a couple minutes after I left the other park because I was finished at this time. So I went to the other park, and there was no one there. And I just thought to myself, "Oh, this was it." One of my favorite teachers is a guy named Neville Goddard. He's one of my favorite metaphysical teachers. And I remember right before he went teaching full time, he had done several little odds and end jobs. And the last one was he was working at, I think it was JC Penney. He said he was an elevator operator. And they just came to him one day, said, "Hey, you're doing a great job. You haven't done anything wrong. You're doing a great job, but we need to lay you off." And he said after that, he decided he was never going to work for anyone again. He was only going to work for himself. And he basically talked about, he said, basically, I got laid off in order to move up. Well, what I realized was that I would have actually never, I had seen this park, but I had never really thought about it. And so, but I knew I wanted to expand and I knew I needed a place to do it. So I thought of both, but I didn't put those two things together. So when this person came and said it to me, it was almost like getting fired. It was almost like getting laid off. It was a thing where you're moved out to move up. I couldn't expand the way I wanted to expand where I was, but I was just where I was because that's where I'd always been. And I had been there because when I first started, that's where I went. Somebody introduced the park to me. And so I just started just doing it there when people asked me to train. But I'd never really given any thought. I was just there because I'd always been there and whatever. Right. So when the guy approached me, I realized later that it was the way we use the word God. It was God's way. It was my consciousness. It was my awareness's way of moving me so that I can move up to get what I want. I couldn't get what I wanted where I was. I couldn't expand the way I wanted where I was because there wasn't any room to expand. There was nowhere to put all these people that I had and was having. So as I've been getting more and more people, because I said I want to expand, I got more people. But now I'm trying to do more people in the same space, and it's too crowded. So I said, okay, I need another space. But I never thought of that place. Then when I went to look at it, it was like, wow, that's actually the spot. So then I said, okay. So then I went back and looked at it again yesterday. No one there. And I said, wow, that's it. I I say this all the time to I say this all the time when I work because I also work with parents, kids, teaching, mind stuff, whatever. I tell I tell people all the time, parents have a hard time telling their kids the truth because they don't want to lose the relationship. They don't want their kids to hate them, not like them. They don't want to get into an argument. They don't want to have no beef. They don't want to have strife. They don't want to. So a lot of times parents don't tell their kids what they need to tell them, when they should tell them. They let things go on too far, or they ignore it, or they hope it'll get better. They don't say, look, this needs to happen. And kids have a hard time listening because sometimes they don't believe you have their best interest at heart. They believe you just want what you want and you don't care what they want. You don't care what they think. You don't care how they feel. So you have a hard time telling them what they need to know because you're afraid of what happens if you tell them. They have a hard time listening because they're not sure if you really have their best interest at heart. You like them, love them, care, understand as far as in this moment about this thing. And it was a great example to me of don't now, I'm saying it this way, but listen to what I mean when I'm saying it. Don't make God afraid of telling you the truth. Don't make God afraid to help you. Don't make God afraid to support you, right? Don't make God afraid to tell you the truth. Now, exoterically, right, the outer words, you understand what I'm saying, right? Esoterically, you understand the meaning, like what I'm really trying to say, right? Like don't don't be afraid to listen. Don't be afraid when your higher self is talking to you. You're asking for things. You want to be things. And you have to have a trust as a child and a parent. You have to have as a child, you have to have a trust that your parent is doing something that's in your best interest because of what you want to be or do in life. As a parent, you have to trust that your child is going to listen to you and love you enough for you to tell them the truth, even if it's not what they want to hear or the way they want to hear it or how they want to hear it. But there has to be a mutual trust for you to say and a mutual trust for the other person to hear and vice versa, right? And so when this thing was happening, I had to slow down and think to myself, Okay, is that what I really wanted to hear? No. The way I wanted to hear it? Probably not. Was I expecting that? No, I wasn't expecting it. But I had asked for something and I assumed I was that thing. But that thing I was assuming couldn't be that here. It had to move. I had to move so that I could be somewhere else. So the movement wasn't a reflection of being fired or laid off. It wasn't a negative thing. It was the necessary thing for me to get the thing or experience the thing that I am assuming myself to be. I couldn't be that here. I had outgrown it. I had got to a point where I had outgrown that, right? When you when you are doing what we're doing every day as a lifestyle, when we keep talking about these things over and over and over, and you now start locking in and saying, this is what I am, and this is what it is, you're where you are right now. But in order for that to actually be physically represented, things are going to change. You may change. You may be inspired to act. Some things are inspired on you to be acted. So I wasn't the one that found the park on my own, let's just say. What was told to me, somebody was inspired to say something to me to get me to move out of where I was so that I could actually go to a place where I could express what I'm assuming myself to be. That person came to me as a reflection of my own consciousness of expansion. It wasn't negative. It wasn't that I lost something. It was a reflection of the fact that you now are too big for this thing. You've outgrown it. You now are aware of being bigger than what you have been, but you can't be big here. You have to be big there. There is the space to do that. But I would have never looked for that if I could have stayed where I was. I would have never moved. And we think moving is losing. We think, oh, what do you mean? Well, I'm a citizen like everybody else. I could have went through that whole thing and played the game and wore a mask like it's not me, and doing all kind of foolishness, trying to hold on to a thing and not realizing that I'm actually asking God to grow, but I'm actively working on staying the same. I'm actively working on keeping it real. I'm actively working on literally staying where I am as I am because I don't want to see anything different, look at anything different, do anything different, yet I want a different outcome, right? The movement out was to move up. It wasn't to move back or down. I would have never moved if I wasn't assuming that consciousness of being more than what I had been, right? But the trust comes because you have to be told something that maybe you weren't expecting to be told. Maybe you didn't know would be coming. I'd never seen that dude before. And I'd been there for years and I'd never seen that dude before. But I realized I'd never thought of myself that way before either. What the version of myself that I was in was perfect for that place. But the version that I've now become was not. And now that I have basically moved everyone over there, I can't tell you how I feel. I feel so happy. I'm so glad. I'm like, it's like looking at an old car that at first you're afraid to get rid of, right? And now you got your new car, and maybe you haven't got rid of your car yet, you just parked it on the street, and you look at it with a fond memory, but you have no desire to get back in it, right? You're just waiting to give it to your nephew, or you're going to sell it at CarMax, but you have no desire to re-enter that relationship, right? You've moved on, you've moved forward, you've grown up. And so I'm using these words on purpose. Don't make God afraid to help you. Don't make God afraid to tell you the truth. Don't do that, right? When you want to be something and you say, I am that thing, your consciousness, God, your consciousness says, okay, you believe yourself to be that? Cool. Well, the way that happens to you may not be what you humanly would think. It may not be, you don't know how that's going to happen. You just know how to work it. You don't necessarily know how it works. You don't know how that's going to work, but you know how to work it. You know the end of your story, but how you get there, you don't. You don't know that part, right? And so the things that happen, we assume are against our highest and best good, but it's just an assumption. We're just like that kid who doesn't trust their parent enough to listen to what they're saying because it's not what they want to hear. Not because it's wrong, because they don't want to hear that. But what you want to hear is not necessarily what you need to grow. The way something was done or said or told is not the negative, it's your perception or your perspective because you don't really trust and believe that this person has your best interest at heart or really knows what's best for you. But they're doing essentially what they know you need to be in the end, or in my case, what I asked to be in the end. And what I asked to be was not capable of being here. So I didn't take massive action, or I didn't take inspired action. The inspired action was taken toward me, right? But it was what I needed to move on and what I needed to move up to what I have now assumed myself to be, right? And so I say all that to say that anytime you want to change your life, there is a trust you have to have with God, with your higher mind. When you are assuming, when you're saying I am, that is God. When you're saying I am wealthy, you're saying God is wealthy. So you're saying the God in me is wealthy. Therefore, that wealth has to be expressed. It may not be able to be expressed at your job. It may not be able to express in that neighborhood. It may not be able to be expressed with that thing, right? You have to trust that the things that come to you are a reflection of your new expression. They're not a reflection of your demise. They're a reflection of your rise, that you're more now. So things have to be different. Some things have to be different in order for you to be more, in order for you to express that more of yourself, right? So, like everyone, I'm always learning. I'm always having my own experiences, and I am grateful that and that I've come far enough to not panic when something happens, to not sit there and say, "Oh God," and fly off the handle, to not sit there and just assume that now, what am I going to do now, right? If it's almost like a kid chasing a ball. You're playing catch and that ball goes out in the street. The young mind will just go chase it, but then you get hit. The mature mind will say, wait, I'll get it, or don't do that yet, or let the ball be the ball. The ball can get hit. It'll be okay. And if it isn't, that's okay too. You getting hit is not okay, right? So the young mind will fly off the handle and just go chase something, will fly out the handle and just panic, will fly out the handle and just assume it's bad. But that's a reflection of your relationship with something. In this case, knowledge. Or in my case, it would have been what I believe my relationship to God to be, so to speak. Do I believe that something bad can happen to me? Do I believe that this is a sign or a reflection of bad news? Do I believe that it's just what do I believe? When a parent is talking to a child, what does that child believe about the parent? Because what they believe about the parent is how they're filtering the information you're giving them. They're taking it in through the perspective of who are you? What are you? How do you live? How do you act? How do you treat me? Do I believe you? They're taking all the words you're saying through that filter. It's not separate from the words you're saying. They're filtering the words you're saying through their experience, through their relationship with you. And depending on what that relationship is, those words are easier or harder to hear. They're believed or they're not, right? So you can't separate you from your words, right? Well, the me and God have a relationship, right? I am have a relationship, right? So I have to figure out, okay, what is that relationship? And do I believe that my consciousness, my awareness has my best interest at heart so that everything is always working for my highest and best good? Do I really believe that? Well, you're gonna find out some days, do you or not? And I found it at a moment, did I or not? And I was happy and proud that even though I didn't understand it in a minute and didn't really, because I wasn't expecting it, that I had just enough of a relationship to say, okay, let me listen to what my mom is saying or what my dad is saying, or in this case, what God is saying. Let me slow down. Let me just listen. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't ready for that. But what is it really? Like, let me think. And then once I slowed down long enough, once I didn't chase the ball in the street, the car went by. I just looked both ways, and I went and got the ball. So I could still get what I wanted, but I didn't have to lose anything for it. I didn't have to get hit or the horn honk or scare my parents half to death when they see me out there chasing the ball and seeing the semi truck coming, right? We chase things out of fear. We chase things out of a lack of trust or a lack of awareness or knowledge, and then we get hit. We get hit, right? So something happens and we panic. So because we have not developed that relationship enough to say everything is working for my highest and best good. I have the victory in all things. That means this thing. I have the victory in this thing. It's all things. This thing I have the victory. Not the next thing, not everything but this thing. This is not an exception. This is not something that is not true this time. It's true every time. But this is why we come to these calls every Saturday. This is why I tell you to test it and live. It's a lifestyle. This is why I say you have to be talking to yourself, not because you're some kind of weirdo or not because you're afraid. No, to establish the relationship between you and your higher self, that thing that we call God. You have to establish a relationship so that you can trust that it's always working according to your highest and best good. So even if you don't see it in the moment, even if it doesn't look like it in the moment, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, you know that it's true. And so you don't change your mind. And so the outcome eventually won't change. You will see it. You will see that, wow, this actually worked for me. And every time I look at that new park, I'm like, it's like a new car. It's like I got a new car. I know it's just, and I can't, and it's only 2 days. I mean, my whole mind has changed, completely different. Everybody now has moved over there. And it was effortless and easy. Didn't have to pay anything, didn't have to do anything. There's no one over there. Right. And I couldn't have made that happen. I've seen that park 1,000 times, never crossed my mind. So when we talk about action, the action I took now is inspired, but that action didn't happen, that inspired action didn't happen until someone said something to me. So the action toward me then inspired my action afterward. But that whole thing was aligned up with everything is working for my highest and best good. That whole action was aligned with I am more than what I am or than what I've been. I've blown up. I've expanded my business. So I expanded my business in my mind. And then all the physical things reflected that expansion. More people have come. Now I've got, because of that expansion, I need more space. Now I have a space. And I didn't have to do anything for either one. I didn't have to make the park, make the rim, put out no flyers, ask for nobody. I didn't have to do anything. And I got more people and I have a place all to myself. Right? So I'm saying all that to say, don't make God afraid to help you. Don't make God afraid of telling you the truth. Don't make God afraid of, don't do that. Meaning when your higher self is talking to you, right? Don't ignore it. Don't argue with it. But part of the reason we do that is because we don't trust it. Part of the reason is because we don't really know it. We don't spend enough time with ourselves. We don't spend enough time talking to ourselves about our highest and best good, saying that we have the victory in all things, saying that everything you set your hand to prospers, saying that you're more than a conqueror, saying who you really are. And repeating it over and over to realize that you have a relationship with your consciousness, right? You have a relationship with who you believe yourself to be. That is always being what you call manifested, being expressed in your world, right? And if you don't know who that is, or you're not actively choosing what that is, then how do you actually trust that? How do you benefit from it? You don't. You don't. It's just like having a membership, a gym membership you never use. There's so much available to you, and you paying for it, but you don't get anything from it. You're paying for it, you're living, you're alive. You're paying for it, but you're not using it, right? So don't make God afraid to help you, right? I'm saying it exoterically using words that we can understand, but esoterically, you know what I mean when I say that. Don't make God afraid to help you. Is God afraid to help you? No. God, no. But you know what I mean. Don't make God afraid to help you. Don't make God afraid to tell you the truth. Don't make God afraid to be honest with you. Those things are not negative things. They're not because you're in trouble. They're not because you're bad. They're because, hey, I'm here to help you. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. But you have to believe that. You have to know that thing enough to know that that's actually how they feel about you and how you should be feeling about yourself. That you should think as highly of yourself as you ought to. Right? All these things. So make sure of that. Make sure of that. Don't make God afraid to tell you the truth. Don't make God afraid to help you. Don't make God afraid to support you. Right? Everything that's happening is for your highest and best good. If that's your expectation, if that's your assumption, if that's your awareness, if that's what you believe to be true. If you believe the opposite, you'll see that because God is always proving you right. It's according to your faith, not God's faith. It's according to your faith. You are God, but it's according to what you believe. It's not according to a separate God's faith. It's according to your faith. So goes your experience. And so to have enough repetition, to have a relationship so that when something happens, you're not assuming the worst. Because your assumption is what you really believe in the moment. The thing you jumped and thought is really what you're thinking, is what you believe to be true, no matter what you're saying. Right? So you want to develop that relationship. So your assumption is always, oh, okay, everything is working for my highest and best good. I have the victory in this too. Everything is good. Nothing's changed. This changes nothing. This changes nothing. Right? All right.
So I just wanted to let you know I put everything on a Google Doc
Okay.
so I could share that link.
Yes. All right.
So you can explain to everyone.
Yes. All right. So what's coming in the link right now quickly are just my notes. They're just what I'm telling you today. because I guess now the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start reading some things. So I put all my notes in there. Okay, it's not an English class. It's just for me to know what I want to tell you guys, but I'm sharing it with you because I'm reading it this time. And so I want you to be able to have what I read to you so that you can kind of review it for yourself tomorrow, later on, or whatever else it is. And you can reread it and reread it and reread it and think about what it makes you think. But I'm doing it because I want to read the words that I actually wrote, right? I don't want to paraphrase it as much as I normally do. But yeah, so that's what it is. So it's just for you to have an understanding of what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to read about 5 or 6 different things. Take notes physically or take notes in your mind, whatever you want to do. But and then after I'm done with all these, then we'll have a conversation, right, about any of them that you want to talk about. Yes.
Okay, there is one question. Do you want to wait?
Uh, if it can. Yes, go ahead.
Abigail saying, what are the first things I need to do to start my mind journey?
That's a good question. Let me come back to that.
Okay.
Let me come back to it. I'll come back to it. Let me do this first. All right. I'll come back to that. All right. So based on what I said, this is what I wrote to myself. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Don't make God afraid to do things for you. Trust looks different than we think oftentimes. Stop and think, do I really trust this person enough to believe it, even if it looks different than I expected or anticipated? Move out to move up. Neville got fired to move up, right? That's what I basically said to myself. That's what I learned from that, right? Okay. Next. You are driving a car for an hour, and the passenger looks over and says, "Where's the painting?" How can you create what you're not focused on? How can you drive and come up with a painting? How can you think one thing and get something else? What you are thinking, you're getting. So when you're driving a car and somebody says, "Where's the painting?" You're thinking, how can I get a painting? I'm driving. Well, how can you be healthy and you're thinking poor? How can you be rich and you're thinking sick? Or you're thinking that how can you do one thing and get something else? Where you're putting your mind is what you're getting, right? So to think you can be thinking whatever you want and get a particular thing is not true, right? You have to think what you want to think about what you want to get. All right. Your consciousness is the creator of your reality. Like you being conscious of driving makes you drive, but it doesn't paint because you're aware of driving, not painting. It's not personal. It is just working on the assignment, meaning where your consciousness is what it's doing. Your consciousness always pays attention. It's always paying attention to what you're paying attention to. So, what is it paying attention to? And who is deciding where this attention is going or what it is being placed upon? You. You. You are always deciding where you're placing your attention. And your attention becomes your intention, whether you mean it or not. Your attention, your focused attention becomes your intention. You are now saying, like when you're driving a car, it has your attention. And the direction of your car is your intention. Same thing. This is the one that started it all off. Sight is like that friend that makes things sound good and gets you into trouble every time. Then they are either never around or can't help you when it goes down. Vision is that wise friend that always looks at the big picture and takes all necessary things into account and says, this is what I would do, or this is what's to do. Man, vision, they never sound fancy or cool or exciting, but they are as steady as the current in the ocean and heat in the summer. If you notice them, they don't beg for attention or get loud and wild. They just state their case plainly and clearly without doubt or hesitation. And what do you know? They are right every single time. Too often, we're led around by our noses and ears and thoughts, like action junkies, just jumping off of cliffs with no thought or parachute, car chases with no seat belts or little to no gas, and down dangerous dark alleys with no ability to fight or sufficient foot speed and endurance to get away from a threat. We are led into all kind of dangerous situations due to what sounds good, feels good, and YOLO. We want the fancy, immediate, cool sounding answer, like we're in some kind of high school popularity contest, voting for best dressed or most popular. Have you seen those people nowadays? Have you seen the best dressed and most popular in your high school nowadays? Never ends up that way now. They don't look like that now. And just as much as we define as cool and best dressed changes as adults, what we define as winning changes also. And even if you saw those same best dressed and cool people in the same outfit, it wouldn't even look the same to you. You would think, what is going on, essentially? Right? Knowledge and truth doesn't need to yell or fight for your attention. It is quiet because it's confident and secure and what and who it is. As Denzel said, the loudest is the weakest. The loudest is the weakest. We pay so much attention to everything that gets our attention, but we pay no attention to what we're paying attention to. We just let the loudest get our attention. The most ridiculous, rude, crude, foolish, emotional, just anything. The louder, the better. The crazier, the better. The wilder, the better. That's why social media is so addicting to most people, because it's just it's off the hook. You get people doing everything. It's just socially approved, right? But we don't pay enough attention to what we're paying attention to. And then we wonder why we're lost, right? How long do I keep my mind on my desired state of me having what I want? Now let's ask another question. How long do you keep showing up to work? How long you keep showing up to work? Until you get paid. So you keep your mind and your attention on your desired state of being or doing or having whatever you want until you get paid. Until that idea becomes a physical thing in your hand that you can take until it comes into your sensory world. So you can taste it, touch it, smell it, hold it, cry on it, cry over it, cry with it, until you can do any physical thing with it. How long do you stay in the state of mind? How long do you assume you are what it is you want to be, to do, or to have? Until you get paid. Until it becomes a part of your physical world. Until it goes from your head to your hand. Just like you show up to work until you get your check. Does anybody leave early on payday? Does anybody say, you know what? I'm just going to work a week and a half and you guys can just keep that. That's on me. No, but you work your 2 weeks because you want all of your check. You don't stop until you feel like your check is sufficient. And you work as long as you can to get as much of it as you can. It's the same thing. You don't stop assuming you are what you are to be, to do, or to have until you get paid. Not a second short, not a minute short, because you don't want your check to be a penny short or a dollar short. How long do you assume you are what you are? How long is this? How long is it going to take? How long does this last until you get paid? You want your money, don't you? You want your desire, don't you? You want to be or do or have what you want, don't you? Well, then you keep going. You keep assuming you are what you are until you get paid. Until it becomes a physical reality in your world. My mom always says, how do you eat the elephant? Bite by bite. This is your journey, so run it at your race. What can you believe is possible for you in any given situation? Start there. Start there. If you're running a marathon and it's your first time, you don't have to, your first practice doesn't have to be an actual marathon. You do know that, right? You don't have to run the whole marathon your first time out, your first practice, right? You may start with training 2 blocks, 3 blocks. What can you commit to in your mind and say, this is happening for me, period. I'm running 2 blocks a day. And in 2 weeks, it may be 4 blocks, maybe 6 blocks, You may be running a mile by then, right? You don't have to go all the way to the absolute end if you can't believe that from where you are. Start at the end from where you stand. So when you first start training for a mile, that's the beginning. I mean, for a marathon, that's the beginning. What's the end you can run that day? What do you think you can commit to that day? Be honest, be real with yourself. There's nothing to prove. This is your back, your butt, your feet. You got to use them tomorrow too. So you don't have to train for a marathon all at once. What's the end for you? What can you do today? What can you believe today for yourself? When I first started this journey, the first thing when somebody just asked me about, I think it was Abigail, somebody asked me about your mind, I was listening to stuff like this. I was reading stuff like this. Most of the people I was listening to and reading were dead, but they were on YouTube, so they were alive enough for me. Or the book was there, so it was alive enough for me. But how did I start training my mind? I started listening and reading to things like this, and then I started applying it. But with little things, I didn't try to run the marathon at first. I said, now you can try to run a marathon at first. Everybody has their own endurance, mentally, emotionally, physically. Everybody's in different levels of shape when you first start this marathon of thinking, so to speak. So do what you can commit to. What I could commit to was I said, at the time there was a parking space around my job. It was a Whole Foods. I'm sorry, it was a Whole Foods around my job. And at lunch, it was packed. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna start assuming for a parking space. I want a parking space right in the front. Now I was with my daughter this week, the biggest hater slash cheerleader of this whole situation, right? Daddy, is anybody listening to you? How many subscribers do you have? Is anybody listening to you? And then she'll see me on a call and she'll be like, oh, all right, fine, right? And so we went to go get lunch this week at lunch. And so we went to this place in a shopping center and there's never any parking. She said, okay, Dad, let me see you get a parking space in the front. So I thought to myself, do I want to do this? And I just said, you know what? Yeah, I want to shut her up again today in your face. So I said to myself, I said, all right, bet. So I said to myself, I went to the end. I saw myself rubbing it in her face. I was like, yeah, yeah, another one, right? So I just kind of replayed that to myself in my mind. I was talking to myself. Yeah, another one. Yeah, another one. Because that's what it meant to me. When I got the parking space, that's what I was going to say to her as soon as I got it. So I went to the end of that and I started saying the end from the beginning. Yeah, another one. And we went to the park, we were there. And she was like, Daddy, I don't see any parking spaces open. I said, that's the difference between you and I. You're governed by what you see. So if you don't see it, you're limited. I'm governed by what I say. I don't have to see nothing. I just say it and I'll see it. So we went around the parking lot about 10 seconds. I went back around and I stopped. And this lady walked right up. And I got a parking space in the front. And when I say the front, I mean the the um the banner for the place, the name of the place was right here, and the car was right here. Backed up like this. I backed up right in front of it, and the car was literally the stall was right under the sign. And I just looked at her in the back seat, and she just got out of the car real quick, like she didn't know what was happening and all the other stuff. Oh yeah, and I looked at her, she was like, "Oh, fine," right, right. But the point is that when I first started this journey, it was for parking spaces. So I said to her, this is the one you probably shouldn't have picked at all, because this is the one I got down cold to. I mean, this one I've mastered. I'm a superhero with this one. Some other stuff I'm covered, but this is the one. I'm the OG. This is where I started. This is like where I started, right? And so I started with parking spaces. Let me see if I can actually use my mind to get a parking space. Let me see if I can be governed by my desires and not my sight. Let me see if I can truly be unlimited by my desires and live by my desires and not by my senses. And you'll start to realize that your desires will change your sensory world. You'll see things you never saw, but you don't realize that you only see based on your desire, what you're unwilling to desire or assume you are incapable of seeing because you're not in the mindset of somebody that can see it. So I said, so saying all that to say, start from where you stand. Start from where you are. I started with parking spaces. Start at the end from where you stand and achieve it. When I got one parking space, then the next day I was like, well, shit, I mean, it could have been anything. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. After a couple of weeks, people be like, oh, you going to lunch? Yeah, where you going? Whole Foods. Oh, you can't get parking there. I was like, yeah, it just, my whole mind had changed. In that moment, I realized my mind changed. What do you mean? I can't. It never thought to me what time. I never thought about what time it was. I'm going to Whole Foods and I'm going to get, and I'm parking in the front. And every time I parked in the front, every time. And I said, oh, Then I started applying it to other things, but I started from where I was, is my point. You don't have to run the whole marathon. You may want to say, you know what, let me see if I can believe for $1 every day. $1 comes to me. I have $1. I have $1. I'm just going to believe for $1 to come from somewhere every day. You may find it on the ground. Somebody just say, hey, here's $1. I don't even want it. Or just see how it works in your world, but start from where you are. You don't have to do this big Herculean momentous thing. This is your life. Run it at your pace. You'll grow and develop, and starting this way a lot of times will help you get momentum faster. A lot of us come to learning how to think differently or wanting to because we're coming out of some stuff, right? Or we're just tired of this stuff, right? We want to change. So then we want so much to change so fast, but, and it's not that it's not possible. It's just the relationship we have with this awareness has not conditioned. We're not in that type of shape to be able to hold your mind when everything looks crazy, when everyone tells you that's not real. When you look in your bank account, you said, you know what, I have all my needs met. And you look in your bank account right afterward, and it looks like ain't one need gonna be met today, in my best English, right? When negative don't ever mean positive, right? And then you say, oh, well, maybe it doesn't work. You're not in that type of shape yet. So start in the shape you're in. What can you believe for? That's what I mean by that. Start from where you are, right? It's like hopscotch or climbing a ladder, just one thing at a time, and you can do it, right? So you may, here's an example of that, like, I love the way I look and feel, right? Or I love this, or like starting with something that you can get into, right? This is not so much of what you need to do. It's just what you can use to help you. Affirmations are not what you need to do. They're just something that you can use to help you. Start so you can start hearing what you want to hear, listening to what you need to listen to that's going to help you change your mind, right? So just starting from stuff like that, which gets me into the next thing. I was talking about a little bit yesterday in the class that some of you are in, that we do mood music. You know how you turn on music because you just want to hear something, and it puts you in a certain mood and excites you, or it makes you feel sexy or whatever else it is, right? You put on music to be in a certain type of mood. Well, one of the ways I use affirmations are like mood music. I just start putting on something in my mind that makes me feel the way I want to feel. That puts me in the state of mind I want to be in. So I may say something like, I love the way I look and feel, or I may say something like, I enjoy the money I'm making doing what I'm doing. I enjoy the money I'm making doing what I'm doing. Right. And I say it over and over. It's my mood music. It puts me in the mood. It puts me in the state of mind it puts me in the feeling state of that, of enjoying what I do, of enjoying how much money I'm making doing it. It puts me in that state. And I just say it to myself over and over, just like you play a song over and over because you like to hear it, because you like the way it makes you feel. You ride with it in the car. You walk around your house, you cleaning with your music on, right? You can do this with things that you're saying to yourself, about yourself and for yourself just as much. You can play your own song, is my point. You can put yourself in the mood with your own affirmations, your own music, saying what you want to hear to yourself over and over, right? And it puts you in that mood, right? Okay. God declares the end from the beginning. Humanity looks at the beginning and often gets stuck. So you're at a place and you're saying, I want this. So you're looking at it from the beginning. But because you can't necessarily see how that's going to happen or how it's going to work, we get stuck. It's just stop right there. Never goes any further. Humanity looks at it from the beginning and gets stuck. It doesn't look at or believe it can reach the end. Why does God have to look at the end? Well, that's because if there was no end in mind, like let there be light, what plan would there be for a thing's existence or maintenance? We talked about this on the call this week as well. When a cow was created, didn't what a cow ate have to also be considered? Didn't its stomach system have to also be created to break that grass down and turn it into its necessary energy source and sustenance? Didn't everything have to be considered for this thing, not just the thing? See, when humanity looks at something, it looks at something in a vacuum. It looks at it in a very small, it just looks at this, but it doesn't consider everything else. So then it wonders why it gets stuck. Or even if it gets what it wants, it hates everything else now, because it puts it in a different position where now I moved over here, but now I wanted this new job, but the job is 30 minutes further than it would have been if I would have never moved. But I wanted to move. So I look at one thing and I got it. Now I just basically exchange one problem for another. Where God looks at everything when you make a request. When you say, I want to be wealthy or I have a great business, it looks at everything. It looks at what we call the entire ecosystem of what it takes for this thing to actually be good for you in life. Not saying whether you should get it or not, or you're worthy of it. No, you are worthy of it, but God figures out how is it, your higher mind figures out how is this thing, what's the best place for me to put them? Where is it? What is the best reflection of that in relation to everything? Right? So the focus on the end always considers and includes all the things the focus on the beginning always wonders and hopes and stresses. So that when you focus on the end, it always includes everything. The beginning, since it doesn't, always stresses because it doesn't consider. The end always considers, so it puts you in the right place. The beginning only looks at something, but it doesn't consider everything. So everything it didn't consider becomes a stress, a worry, a fear, and anxiety. So now you've made this cow, but what is it going to eat? Now it eats this, and how is it going to digest that? And now that it digested that, now what happens after that? You're always going from one fear or one stress or one challenge or one problem from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, because you're not looking at the big picture when you create. God looks at the big picture when it creates. When you say, I want to be wealthy, when you're assuming to be wealthy, or I'm healthy, or I have a great business, or I have great relationships, it looks at everything because that thing is a part of everything. So giving you that thing without thinking about everything else that it has to align with and work with and be a part of is sometimes could be worse than you not having it at all. So it looks at how is the best way to get this thing to this person, who they are, where they are, what they are, with everything else going on, so that this is a gift and not a curse. Right? It's not about not giving it to you. It's not about saying, God, oh, God don't want, God wants what you want. If God wanted you to just do whatever God wants you to do, we wouldn't do half the stuff that we have done. No, that's what free will is. Free will is the ability to choose, to have an idea, choose it, and to execute it. There's no one stopping you from doing that. That's why jails are full. There's no one stopping you from acting a fool. That's why homelessness is on the rise. God is not making you be housed. That's your choice to be housed or unhoused. God's not making you do anything. You're just going to get the outcome of what you are thinking and believing. So sometimes we make decisions as a lot of times in humanity, we make decisions in a vacuum. We only think of one thing. So we're not looking at the big picture. So then we get this thing, and a lot of times it ends up harming us or making things harder than what we wanted it for or what we thought. Right? Where God looks at the big picture every time we ask for something. So then everything is considered. So this gift is a gift. It's not a curse. Right? So the focus on the end always considers and includes all the things. The focus on the beginning always wonders and hopes, then stresses and worries of all the things that haven't been considered. Be God, it's better. Be God, it's better. Think like God, it's better. Assume the end. Just go to the end. The end always considers everything. The beginning only considers what it is. And they don't think, and everything else you haven't considered, where they say the devil's in the details. Well, yeah. Haven't you seen the devil lately? Haven't you heard from it? Right? That's why. Right? Go to the end. I want all my bills paid. I assume now all my bills are paid. I assume I have more than enough. Always, they're always paid. Everything is paid on time and early. That's the end. That's what you would be saying if that were true. Go to the end. How that happens is not your job. You don't have to know how it is. You just have to know how to work it. Go to the end is how you work it. How it works, you don't have to know. How to work it, you have to know. Go to the end. Assume it already is so, whatever it is you want. When you take that off the shelf, what you take off the shelf is what you have in your hand. What you take off the shelf is what you have in your hand. What you consistently think about is what your life reflects. What you believe to be true is what becomes true or real for you. What you take off the shelf is what you have in your hand. So when you take something off the shelf, you can't look at your hand and be like, I can't believe I have this. I can't believe I'm looking at this. What is this? Yeah, what you take off the shelf, you have in your hand. What you consistently think about is what your life reflects. What you believe to be true is what becomes true or real for you. So pay attention to what you're taking off that shelf. Pay attention to what you're consistently thinking about. That's your life. That's your life. That's what's in your hand. What you believe to be true is what is going to be true. God is always proving you right. You're always right. You don't think you're perfect? No, you're always perfect. It's always good and very good. Your life is always going according to you perfectly. What you take off that shelf is in your hand. Pay attention to what you pick it. This is the last one. We are spending too much time waiting. We're spending too much time waiting. Waiting to be, waiting to do, waiting to have, waiting to see if this works, waiting to see what everyone else says or thinks, waiting to believe in ourselves, waiting to feel what we and how we want to think, what we want to think, what we want to be. We're waiting. We live in a societally approved state of deferment. We live in a societally approved state of deferment. Oh, next time. Hey, what do you think is the biggest deferment? I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you in the morning. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, we assume tomorrow. Like it's just, and that's cool, right? That's fine. But we assume tomorrow so much we never deal with today. Everything is deferred. Your dreams, your health, your money, your success, everything is your ability, everything is deferred. We're waiting for too many things. To the point we live in a societally approved state of deferment. To the point that next time and tomorrow are really emotionally numbed excuses that should almost be seen as curse words if we're not careful. We are so used to deferring things that next time and tomorrow almost should be curse words. They should almost be things you should use very sparingly and with great awareness. Because we're putting off our good, our great, our happiness, our success. We are consistently deferring it. We're constantly pushing it off, pushing it back later. Well, tomorrow, well, maybe next time. Well, hopefully, well, I'm gonna try. Well, if it be God's will, well, right, just everything. Everything is always later, always the next time, tomorrow, after the by and by, on the other side, in the upper room, everything is later. Everything is later. But what does it say in the book? Now is the acceptable time to prove. Now is the time to prove what is that good and acceptable will of God. Now is the time to prove what is good and acceptable to you. What you accept is your will. What you choose and act on is your will. And you and God are one. So God's will is no different from yours. That's what's being acted. That's what's being acted on. It's your will. What does it say? All things are possible to him who believes. With God, all things are possible. So if him is possible, God is possible, then him and God have to be one. They get the same outcome. All things are possible to him who believes. With God, all things are possible. So all things are possible to both things. Then both things are the same thing. So your will is God's will. So if you're sick, that is your will. That is God's will. You can change it because you're God. In your right mind, it's not, but you're God whether you're in your right mind or not. Aren't you still getting all things? Don't you get good news and bad news? Don't you have good days and bad? Aren't you getting all things? All things are possible because you're God. If you don't realize that, then you'll choose some things you shouldn't choose. And those are possible too. Like running out in the street and getting hit, that's possible. Walking out and looking both ways before so you don't get hit, that's possible. But the immature mind will run out there, chase a ball, and get hit. The mature mind will say, don't do that. The ball ain't that serious. It's replaceable. You're not. Everything in your world is replaceable but you. But you value all the replaceable things instead of the irreplaceable thing. You care more about everything and everyone than you do yourself. what you think, how you feel, how you're doing. You're thinking that there's some kind of nobility and there's some kind of value in you doing for everyone else and everything else being the most. It's not. That doesn't make you selfish. It's self-interest. Selfish means, my definition of it is, any and everything you do that only benefits you, meaning, and it's not even necessarily beneficial. It's just something you want to do at all costs, and it doesn't care. It may not even benefit you, and it most likely doesn't benefit anyone else. Self-interest means you growing, you doing something for yourself, you developing in a way that benefits you and can benefit other people. You're better for this thing. You're better because you do this, or you think this, or you feel this. It's self-interest. It's a way that you are looking at yourself, thinking about yourself, developing yourself, growing yourself in a way that you are more than what you were, that you have more to offer to others than you did before. That's self-interest. It means you are growing and developing in a way that makes you more. Selfish, a lot of times, most of the time, in my definition, just takes from you and offers no one anything. Self-interest grows you and allows you to have things to offer to other people. When you're in a good mood, when you have money in your pocket, when you have great health, you can benefit yourself and other people. What can you do when you're sick or broke or in a bad mood? Can't really do much for yourself or anyone else. Self-interest is like being in a good mood. It's like having, I don't mean literally being in a good mood. It means you are operating from a state that you are blossoming, that you are blooming, that your light is shining. You are developing yourself in a way where you are shining. And so you shine, and then everybody else gets the benefit of that light. When you care about how you feel, when you care about how you look, when you care about how you comport yourself, when you care about how you speak, when you care about how you act, that's self-interest. When you're aware of who you are and what you are and that you are. You are first person awareness, unseparated awareness, authority, power, wisdom, and infinitely more. You are the shot caller, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. There is no other. That is self-interest to know that. It's in your best interest, the interest of yourself, to be aware that you are the shot caller. You are the alpha. You are the omega. You are the beginning. You are the end. The buck starts and stops with you in your life. That your life is starting and stopping with you. It is because of you. Because it started because of you. It will end because of you. You may use someone else's hand to do it. You may use a disease to do it, but you still did it. Or you may just say, I'm up out of here. I'm 96. I'm through. Bye. But it's going to be ended by your hand the same way it was started by your hand. Meaning it's going to be ended because of you, like it started because of you. You may use something else to do it. You may use someone else to do it, but it's always at your command. I am speaking of the need to recognize that you are now all that you will ever have, need, and want to experience and express. Anything and everything. You're already it. You already have everything. Now you just got to pick what you have. You already have everything. Now you got to pick what you have. The grocery store's got everything. Don't you pick? Do you just go down the aisle just going like this? Don't you pick? Don't you select from what's available? You are everything. You are your curse and your blessing. You are your dream and your demise. You are your victory and your defeat. You are all of it. You have to pick which one of those you experience, and you're picking every day. And this call is to make you aware of that choice, that ability, that authority, that power, and that responsibility. You're a mature adult in the grocery store. You're not a 5-year-old touching everything. You're not just taking anything. You're a mature adult. In mind, you have to mature. You are everything. You have to choose what you are. You have everything. You have to choose what you have. Your I am. When you say I am, that is God. That is consciousness. That God consciousness is perfect. How do we know? It creates everything. Like I just said, creates everything. You're good, you're bad. What does it say? I am the right. It's what it say. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. I am the Lord God, and there is no other to save you out of my hand. I am. Your awareness of being is everything that you could ever want to be. You can use it to be anything in this physical expression. That's what you're using to be anything, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong. They're just choices. Your I am is absolutely perfect in every way. And it is only our ignorance or refusal to believe it that stops us from experiencing and expressing it mentally and physically. You're already perfect. You don't need to change anything. It's your belief that you do, which is what makes it necessary. It's just a condition you put upon your experience. But you're God, you can do that. In your house, can't you decorate it any way you want? That's what makes it your house. Doesn't matter if somebody comes in and doesn't like it. You tell them, get over it or get out. This is your life. You're already perfect. Your true self is already perfect. It's your human belief that you're not, because we tell ourselves nobody's perfect. We tell ourselves nobody, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Oh, everybody's scared of something. Everybody's afraid of something. Well, then guess what? That's why everybody's afraid of something, because everybody keeps telling everybody that they're afraid of something. And you should be too. If I am, well, what's your problem? Oh, you too good for that? Oh, you don't believe that, huh? Oh, well, then, well, nobody's perfect. Okay, well, you just want to, okay, well, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just telling you how it really is. It's flu season. Everybody gets sick. Everybody, I've been on this call for a year and a half. Has anybody heard me sick yet? Anybody heard me sniffle, sneeze? Does it look like I've been sick yet? Does it look like I'm going for that? Does it look like that to you? It's not. I'm not. I'm not. The parking spaces, you're not going to get me. The sick, you're not going to get me. Those two I've got. I'm becoming more aware of other areas of my life, right? We all have things that are easier, and that's just a belief too. But we all have things that we're closer to. Like, okay, this thing, I'm right here. That thing is like, I see it, but whoa, real for real, right? But yeah, no, we don't. We believe what we believe because everybody keeps telling us, and we believe it. It's not because it's real or it's true or it has to be. But once you believe it, it's real, it's true, and it has to be. You are controlling your life by what you believe, by what you're telling yourself to be true. And you don't realize you're doing that because you're listening to other people and adopting and adapting what they say and putting it in your life. And you're saying, well, I didn't say that. Yeah, but you believed it. You believed it. You didn't say your name either when you were born. Somebody else told you. Aren't you saying that name now? So you believed it. You're saying the same thing they said. Okay, well, you're saying the same thing you said. So just because you didn't come up with it doesn't mean you don't believe it. And how do you know what you believe? Because that's what you can see in your sensory world. That's what your physical world is about. It's your canvas. It's letting you know what's going on inside. That's the only reason your physical world is there. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what you were thinking if you couldn't put it out in your human experience. If you couldn't see it, you wouldn't know. Right? That's all this is. So adapt and adopt the state of mind that you are now, all things desired and wonderful. You are now powerful and perfect. You are now free and abundant. Hell, even if it ain't true, what do you got to lose? What do you have to lose? Are you going to lose something? You're going to be broker than you are, sicker than you are, more miserable than you are, more unhappy or unsuccessful than you are or have been, right? I mean, is something going to get worse all of a sudden because you're saying, I'm perfect, I'm whole, I'm complete? All of my needs are met. All of my desires in my heart are granted. Everything and everyone is working for my highest and best good. I always get what I want. I don't struggle. I don't stress. I don't strain. I don't fear. I don't doubt. I am God and there is no other. So if I'm God and there is no other, then what I'm saying is the only thing to be said, the only thing to be heard, and the only thing to be done. Period. Pause that. So everybody wants to pause. Pause that. Pause that now. How about that? Pause that. Huh. I mean, right? What do we got to lose? Why don't we try that? Why don't we try, man, I'm already perfect, whole, and complete. Everything I set my hand to prospers. I have the victory in all things. Because lastly, what does it say? The universe is mental. All is mind. The universe is mental. All is mind. All is mind. All of it. Your health is your mind. Your peace is your mind. Your paycheck is your mind. Your money is your mind. Every physical thing you're experiencing is the physical reflection of your mind. So if you don't change that, you won't change that. Keep trying to change the physical with your physical. You're not going to get nothing more but physical. That's all you're going to get. That's all you're going to get. If you want to change your physical world, you have to first change your mind, because your mind is the creator of the physical world you want to change. If you go to the store and you want to return something and the cashier got an attitude, what do you say? Let me speak to the manager. You got to go up, right? If you want to change your world, you're going to have to go up. As above, so below. As within, so without. The universe is mental, all is mind. There's no exception. All of it is mind. All of it is what you are thinking and feeling, believing to be true. Start living in mind the way you desire to in flesh. Start living in your mind the way you desire to live out here. Whatever is going on up in here is happening out down there. Whatever is going on up in here is happening down out there. Down out there is always physical. It's second. Up in here is always first. Ideas are not physical. They're states of mind. States of mind creates physicality. So when you say I have an idea, you do something, but you're only doing the doing, right? The doing is the idea. The idea is the creative faculty. The doing is just replicating. All you're doing is repeating. All you're doing is copying. Don't you keep your receipt so you can return something? And whatever you have the receipt for, don't you have to have the merchandise for? They have to match. Right? Same thing. The universe is mental, all is mind. Be the word that comes to life. Be the word that comes to life. Be the word that comes to life. Pick the words that you want to come to life. Be that word that comes to life. I am this. This is what I have. This is what I do. This is how it's going. This is what it is. And you be it. Being means constant, consistent. Not when it rains, you're someone else. Not when you're this, you're something else. Not when you're that, you're something else. Right? Be it. Be it. That means static state of being. You don't come up and go down and come up and go down. You are that. Just like you're Ronette every day, just like you're Sparkle Bailey every day, just like you're Justin and Cynthia every day. The rain doesn't change that. The economy doesn't change that. Your friends don't change that. People's opinions don't change that. Your attitude don't change it. Your mood don't change it. Nothing changes. I don't care if I'm in a good mood or bad mood. I'm wealthy, period. Feelings have nothing to do with my feeling. Feelings, emotion is not going, I'm not going to let my emotion change my awareness of being. Your name is just an awareness of being. It's not a feeling. It's not like feelings. It's not emotion. It's a feeling in the sense of an awareness of being. It's not an emotion. Happy, sad, mad. You're the same name every day. Just like we talked about in class yesterday. Okay, well, if someone said, I am Ronette, what's the difference between saying I am Ronette and I am wealthy? What's the difference? There is no difference. One you believe to be you. The other one you don't. Most of us don't believe that. But the only reason you believe the name Ronette is because someone told you repeatedly. So you're not believing something that's real. You're believing something that has become real to you through repetition. Well, then you can say I am wealthy just as much as I'm saying I'm Ronette. You're just introducing yourself. You're introducing your experience, what you believe yourself to be. You have no proof you're Ronette. You have no proof. Like when somebody calls you Ronnie, you have no proof. Like they just made the name up. How are you gonna prove it? You just made it up, so to speak, right? Then why can't you make something else up? Why does one have to be? Well, there's no difference really. There's actually no difference. It's if you heard I am wealthy. If somebody called you wealthy every day and that was your name, you would say I am wealthy. Have you heard somebody says, "What's your name?" "Oh, what's up, man? My name is Rich." Well, first person, I am rich. It's the same thing. Right? It's just something that you assume yourself to be through repetition. It's just a state of mind that you now assume as an identity through repetition. This is the universe is mental, all is mind. You can be anything. You already are everything. It just most of the time it's not what we want to be because we're not consciously choosing. We're just going down the grocery store, just taking everything out the aisle and then trying to make it work. But ketchup and cereal don't really go together. There's no gratitude for it. There's no way to see the positive in it. It's not going to work. You have to decide what you want. You have to start picking as a mature mind. You have to start picking. Having a beard, being 6'5", or being an adult woman, those are all biological. Those are all involuntary, let's just say. Being an adult is mental. It's a mentality. You have to be able to think like a mature person. And having your emotions and having all your traditions and customs and opinions and feelings and everything running you around like you're some kind of animal, not a good look. To be an adult, it means you're in charge. It means you assume, you say how this is going to go for you. You say who you are. You say what this is. And you'll see that come into your world. That's what maturity is. Keeping your word. Keep your word to yourself. Right? So, all right. That's all I wanted to say to you today. So I want to leave enough time for people to come back. Abigail, I'll start with you. If you're still here, I'll start with you. Just because you asked a question, I said I'll get back to it. So, Abigail, are you here? I think I kind of answered it, but I just wanted to ask you a question. Well, if you're here, come back to me because I wanted to ask you a question. It'll help me better answer your question. Okay. All right. All right. It's open for questions, comments. What we got?
I had a similar experience. Hello, everybody. Um, 2018, I'll use the words that I used then, forced to retire and resentful. So much so, I didn't like the word. What I didn't know was what waited for me on the other side. And I'll bring it to this moment. I am wealthy.
Mhm.
I am Karen Henderson, guru of executive assistants. I am. And I would not have been able to believe it and state it if I had not retired and it brought me to this place.
Yeah. When you say like we talked about last week, when you say I am Karen, what does that mean? What is another way of saying that? Karen, are you still there?
Yeah, I was just having a struggling moment with the
Oh, okay,
mic.
okay.
Um, okay, when I say I'm Karen, what's another way to say that?
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yes.
Hmm. First thing come to mind is I am what I recognize to have been called all of my life.
Okay. All right. I am Karen. Okay. Who else? If I say I am Karen, what am I saying? Can't read lips.
That's what you
What I
identify?
identify with.
Okay.
I am God.
Close.
God is believing itself to be Karen.
Correct. God is Karen. That's what I am is. God is Karen. So if you say I am wealthy, you're saying God is wealthy, right? Well, then if we were to use the old school word God, if we were to say God is wealthy, wouldn't everybody believe that? That would make sense, right? You just have a problem thinking it's you. But you
You're
say I am.
absolutely
How could it
right.
not be? How could it not be you? Right? You said I am Karen. You're saying I am wealthy. You're saying I am. You're saying God is. Whatever you would say God is, then we would believe it. But if you're saying I am Karen, That is no different than saying God is Karen. So if I am Karen, God is Karen. If I am wealthy, God is wealthy. If God is wealthy, then Karen is wealthy, because Karen and wealthy are one. Karen and God are one. They're one. That's what I am is God. What we call that power is God. So just like you would say God is wealthy, we'd be like, yeah, amen, praise the Lord. Can't beat it. God is good every day, all the time. We do that. Come on, we've all done it. God is good all the time. Come on, we've all done it. Yeah. Well, guess what? That means, but I am is God. So how can I say I am wealthy and that not be me? But sometimes saying it a different way lets you know it's actually true, because God is wealthy. But how can I not be that if I'm pronouncing the same name that being pronounced itself to be? I am. Just awareness of being. I am is not a man. It's not a woman. It's just eternal, infinite consciousness. It's a state of being. It's an awareness. It's a present state forever. And from that present state forever, you create everything from there. So I am is the present state of being. What did you attach? Wealth. What did you attach? Executive guru to the executive gurus. What did you attach to being, the teacher of teachers? What did you attach to having your own business? What did you attach? God is a business owner. God is this. God is that. Whatever God is, we would say, who's going to say it's not? God is wealthy. No, it ain't. Who's going to say that? Well, God is sick. Who's going to say no? Whatever God believes itself to be, nothing can stop it from being it. So whatever you believe yourself to be, nothing can stop you from being it. When you say I am, you're saying God is. And whatever you believe of God, you should believe of you, if you want to believe the truth. If you want to believe something else, you can, but that's a lie. And a lie will enslave you. Only truth will free you. A lie will slave you. Anything that's not the truth will not free you. It will enslave you. The further away you get from it, the more slavery you'll feel. Further you get from the truth. When you say I am, you're saying God is. Whatever, and once you say God is, then you know everything's possible. When you say I am, then everything's possible. What did it say? With God, all things are possible. What did it say? With all things are possible to him, right? Humanity, to the mind that believes. So yes, so always understand that. When you say I am, understand you're saying God is. So now I want you to feel the authority and the power to attach what you want. And you'll be more mindful of what you attach. Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Go ahead, Laura.
I was just gonna bring the idea in play where that's what he told Moses.
Yes.
Where Moses asked him, like, who are you? And it's so powerful when we think about it, because he said, I am.
Yes.
And it's just like, whatever that is, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're making that correlation, because he said we're created in his image and his likeness,
Mm-hmm.
I totally receive that, because that's how I walk in the season of abundance life, because I'm existing in that. Whatever that is for me, that's just what I am. So I just wanted to share.
And that's it. That's all. That's you've done it exactly correct, in the sense of you've understood that how you understand it works for you. You have a clear understanding of the truth. You understand the truth in your way. You don't change the truth, but you understand the truth in the way that makes it understandable for you. It's true. You stay in your I am. You can't get out of it. All of us are in I am every day. In jail, I am incarcerated. I am homeless. I am sick. I am wealthy. I am a business owner. I am a parent. You can't get out of it. But what Laura is really speaking to is her awareness of that truth. And therefore, as a result of that, choosing wisely what you're going to sit in then. If you know you have to go across country in your car, what kind of car are you going to pick? Anybody think they want to do it in a motorcycle? Anybody think they want to do it in a car with no heat or no air conditioning? Maybe the windows don't roll up sometime. Now, if you go too fast for too long, the car overheats. Anybody want to go in that type of vehicle that far? So I am is what you're sitting in. Just like, Lord, it's really what you can't get out of it. And this life is like going cross country. It is long enough, right? That if you don't do it right, you'll feel it. Life is short. No, it's long enough for you to get the point. For miserable to get here, misery gets here quick enough. It gets here quick. Boy, it's better than Instacart. It's better than shoot than DoorDash, Uber Eats. Boy, I mean, it's more instant than an instant message, instant than oatmeal, right? Yeah, when you're sitting in that, that's what you are. So then now, if you're sitting in it, choose what you're sitting in. That's essentially what Laura's saying. She has chosen what she sat in. She said eternal abundance. She told you her car. What did we talk about on the class yesterday? Look at everything she said. She described her thing one way though. She described a feeling. That feeling was eternal abundance or something to that. There was a feeling. It wasn't emotional. It was a state of awareness. She described a state of awareness, not a feeling as in sad, happy, not feelings, feeling, singular, an awareness of being. Just like your name is a feeling, it's an awareness of being. That's why every time you say your name or you hear your name, you have a concept of yourself. I do that, I don't do that, I eat that, I don't eat that. That is a result of your awareness of being. But a lot of times, most of us are not aware of what we're aware of being. Laura's saying, I'm successful because I have chosen what I'm aware of being. I understand that awareness is just what it is. Now I'm aware of being this in particular. I'm going to use this awareness to be aware of that. I'm going to use this car to go here. A car is a car whether you don't drive it or drive it down the street or drive it across country. They're just different varying degrees of experience. Awareness is just what it is, period. Now, when you condition it by saying, I'm aware of being that is a condition that you're going to use the awareness to create. That is God creating. So when you say, I'm aware, that is God. What are you attaching to it? You are now creating the experience of wealth, sick, health, successful, whatever. Yes. All right. Next, anyone? Who else? Does anybody else have anything they want to say, ask, comment, question? Because you know I can keep going.
I have this is Sparkle Bailey, Coach Lucky.
Hey,
I have enjoyed today's call. I've just enjoyed listening to the reminders. I say that often because a lot of this information is like there's some part of me, I won't speak for everybody, but there's some part of me that's like, I know this. I know this. And societal conditioning has done its job or done its best, I guess, to remove what I know and make life more complex when we hold all the power, we hold all the authority to just get up and find the parking space. Or we don't even have to really do too much, just focus our mind. That's the biggest step, is just to focus your mind rather than to go out here and grind yourself into the ground for what? There is literally no benefit from Sparkle Bailey grinding herself into the ground for any reason, but to focus my mindset on attracting and just communing around like-minded mindsets is a much easier process to achieving the goals that I have for myself and where I want to be, rather than working so hard to compete to basically die faster. Like, I'm competing to die faster when I grind. This is how I think. And the more I tap into these reminders, I just remember, sweetheart, you're not supposed to be doing all that. You ain't supposed to be sweating like that. Like, if you at the gym sweating, that's one thing. You with your partner, your husband, that's one thing. But you over here grinding. Why are you grinding your whole beauty? I'm just too dope for that. And so these reminders be coming through in the clutch. I appreciate it.
wonderful. People need to be reminded more often than they need to be taught. That was a quote from Samuel Johnson. People need to be reminded more often than they need to be taught. Every week I'm saying the same thing. I'm just finding new ways to say it because we're all coming from different places, have different assumptions, different understandings. We hear things differently, we learn things differently, but I'm saying the same thing 1,000 times because there's only one truth. I can try to say it 1,000 different ways, but there's only one truth. The truth never changes. The truth doesn't care what we think, what we feel, if we believe it or not, it is the truth, right? The truth never changes. So I'm trying to say it 1,000 different ways so that from all of our different angles and perspectives of life, we can see it, right? But the reason we have faith and assumption in anything The reason we grind and all the stuff we do, the reason we have belief and faith and we just think that's what we're supposed to be doing is because of repetition and practice. We have been, like we said, conditioned. Conditioning is repetition and practice. We have been conditioned, and we have conditioned ourselves to some degree repeatedly, right, to have a faith and an assumption, a belief system about something. And so we're always going to continue what we believe. That's why it says, be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? And how did our mind get to what it is? From belief, we believe what we have been hearing repeatedly. That's why it's so important when you're talking to yourself. It's so important to talk to yourself. It's so important to imagine, so important to think, because it's repetition. It's repetition. You're conditioning your mind to what you want to think, how you want to feel. Because if you don't, somebody else will do it. Everybody else has been doing it. Parents, teachers, friends, society, social media, news, radio, whatever. We have conditioned our mind to think against our best interest. And I'm not saying that that is all malice and that it's all, it's all malice or all malicious, but it does have outcomes of that. Ignorance is no excuse of the law. What does it say? Never ascribe to malice that which can be explained by incompetence. Right? Some people are just incompetent, but they're so incompetent it hurts like it's malicious. They're just so that it hurts the same way, like if they meant to be. The outcome is the same. And incompetence will lead you down the same roads as malice in a lot of ways. Right? So saying that to say the reason we think what we think is because we've been told what we've been told over and over and over and over. And so it's important now to start telling ourselves, as everybody says, a new story. You're going to have to start renewing your mind, right? We have to start renewing our mind. How do we do that? By telling it something different. Because we are what we believe ourselves to be. And the beliefs we have come from repetition and practice. So to your point, Sparkle Bill, and you always say it, and I always agree, and I'm saying it. I'm not telling people things that they don't necessarily know. I'm reminding you, most importantly, of what you do know that you're not doing, that you're not applying. It doesn't matter if you know, if you don't do it. That's why at the end of the call, I always say, apply it, test it, prove it. This is not a place to believe in something you don't want to try, believe in something you don't prove. This is not that. You can do that with a whole bunch of connotatively religious things. You can believe in a God you don't know, believe in a God you don't see, believe God hears you, pray and hope, cat beads and do this. There's a whole lot of stuff you can just believe with no proof and hope it works. But that's not what you're here for. You're here to hear some information and test it and prove it to the best of your ability based on what you can understand. So every week we come here to test and prove, to learn and apply, to learn and apply. It's the only way you'll know. If you're not doing it, you don't know. You may know of, you may have heard it, you may refer to it, you may recite it, but you don't know. So I only care what you do know. So I'm gonna keep telling you, and you meaning all of us, I'm gonna keep telling you until you do it. And I'm gonna keep telling you till you do it. And once you do it, you'll prove it. And once you prove it, then I'll know you know it because you'll never stop doing it. Never, right? None of this is worth anything if you don't test it. None of this is worth anything if you don't apply it. None of it. Sounds good, feels good. You can do that with your own favorite hit list songs, or watch a movie, or go to your favorite amusement park if you want to feel good. Right? But it's not just about that here. It's about taking something, applying it so you can choose and change your life. Right? If you don't apply it, it means nothing. If you're a hearer of the word and not a doer only, and if you're only a hearer and not a doer, you're deceiving yourself. What's to say, be a doer of the word, not a hearer only, deceiving yourselves. And most of us have been hearers of something good, not doing it, and hearers of something bad and doing that. Right? So wonderful. Okay, Leslie.
Okay, so the thing that's been happening for me the probably last 10 days, as things are showing up the way that I am choosing them, is fear is creeping in. Because now it's like, don't screw it up, don't mess this up now that you're on the right track. Make sure that you fulfill those orders on time. Look for this, that, and the other. Get everything right. And that fear becomes almost all consuming in my mind. And I have to remind myself and then meditate myself out of it. But the thing that I'm aware of is that the fear shows up as the manifestations show up.
Mhm.
And why is that? Like, why
Because
is it getting what I want makes me afraid?
because it's like an adult handling an ice cream cone and a baby handling an ice cream cone. The adult knows how to hold it because it's not new. The baby holds it and they're wobbling. The cone is wobbling, right? There is a newness in your mind that you're becoming accustomed to, right? And so you're almost like a baby in your mind in the sense of this is new and you're like, oh my God, can I hold this? How is it is your old identity, which is still very present in mind as a memory, even though your new identity is actually acting. It's actually moving now. But you've had this old identity for 50,000 years, so to speak, right? Now you have this new identity for 55 minutes, but what it'll show you is look how powerful this new identity you've created for yourself. Look how it's clicking and clacking. Look at how it's popping now. So it's letting you know it's working. So then all you do now is double down on this new thing. This is your new relationship. Keep spending more time with it. Keep talking to it on the phone. Keep watching, like whatever, when you have a relationship with something, the reason it grows is because of the time you spend with it. But it's new. So the more time you spend with the new, it becomes more familiar. And the old relationship dies because you stop calling it. You stop answering the phone. You stop calling it back. It's like a relationship. It dies because it no longer has your attention. The new one has your attention. You can remember the old one, but it's not a part of your life really anymore, but you can remember it. Your new one is now an active part of your life. That's why your business is popping. But you can remember the old. But what you do now is the more you keep paying attention to the new, the old will eventually die out. It'll die out. But then what you do is repetition and practice. You repeat and practice. You keep talking to yourself. This is where affirmations come in. This is where they're not necessary, but they're useful. They're not necessary for you to do what you're doing, but they're useful, right? You keep saying, I'm perfect. Everything is perfect. I always do the right thing. I always know everything I need to know and what to do about it. Everything I set my hand to prospers. This is when you start talking to yourself. Every time you have an idea of the opposite, you just say what it is your end is. Man, I'm a successful business owner. Man, I'm so great. I'm so great. I'm doing so wonderful. All my orders get out on time. Man, they get out on time or early. People are always emailing me or texting me saying, thank you, the order got here a day early. You start telling yourself what you want to tell yourself instead of what you don't want to hear, right? This is where you solidify your relationship. Like I said, you stop calling that person back. After a while, they leave a voicemail. You don't even listen to it. You just delete it. You just, right? After a while, you just stop listening because you're just no longer committed to that. This new thing has your interest and you just don't even want to be bothered with that old stuff anymore. But the more you pay attention to this, it will start to die out. You'll start listening less. You'll stop hearing less because you're so committed to this. Right? And your affirmations, like I said, they're not things to get you anything. You're already getting it. It's proof. But what it'll do is it's useful to help you be more it's like talking when you meet a new person, the more often you can talk to them, the faster the relationship kind of grows. If you meet a new person, you only talk to them once a week, it can still be good, but it's slower progress, right? When you talking to yourself constantly, right, about who you are and how things are going for you and how successful your business is, how easily you get all your stuff out, how quickly your stuff gets there. People are always telling you that stuff gets there a day or two before they thought, and it's even better than they thought, and they can't wait. And I told 3 people about you. That is a relationship. You're talking about the tenets of your relationship. Oh, girl, how's your husband? Always great. Oh, he always treats me so nice. It's the same thing. How's your business? Oh, it's great. You're describing your relationship with something and how it's working. And when you keep doing that, the old stuff dies and this stuff just boom, boom, it just blows and increases. Right. So it just means you just have to keep growing in your mind, keep being used to this. This is who you are. And that's just literally repetition and practice. And your faith, which comes by hearing, and what you believe to be true, your assumption, unconscious assumption, right? Your faith is just unconscious assumption, right? In the sense of like, okay, I'm just going to believe what it is, right? But how do you get to those points? Through repeating and practice. You're just talking, you're just saying to yourself over and over, right? Over and over. Everything you want to hear. When you have a thought that goes against that, you just say this one. No, this is what it is. Everything gets there early. My stuff always gets there early. Everybody's always telling me it gets there early. And you'll start to believe that. It's just the old you, right? The new you is cracking. Let the old you die. Let the dead bury the dead. Just like in the Bible where they talked about Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife, they ran out and Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot's wife turned back and she turned into a pillar of salt. That's a metaphor for saying salt is a preservative. And when you run out of the state of not being what you were, and now you're going to the state of where you are now and it's popping, looking back, right? Being concerned with all that stuff behind you, boy, and going back into, well, maybe I won't, maybe this won't work, maybe this won't last. You'll turn into a pillar of salt. You'll get stuck in the state of not being instead of living in the state of being, right? So you keep going, keep talking to yourself, keep going. And you'll see it just blow up and blow up. And then one day you'll tell it to shut the hell up and it'll never come back. You'll just be like, man, I told you that's enough. You'll be so firm in your thing, but it just takes, just do some reps every time, right? And you'll see. So keep it up. Good work. Yes. Right.
That was fire.
Right.
Oh, you called me.
Yes.
Oh, I had my hand up, but you answering it every time you talk. So, one thing I wanted was the record. You said something about a recorder, but my phone has it where it will wrap around. So I was trying
Parrot.
to
It's that.
have. Go ahead.
You are talking about the Parrot app?
I forgot, but my phone has it. I was Googling it while you were talking.
Yeah.
I was looking at my phone. So I have that voice recorder
Yes.
because I wanted to have my own voice.
Yes.
And because I use the affirmations in the morning and all that. But I was struggling too with that believing part where it's like there's a conflict. And so that's why I need to keep on talking to myself and speaking it, because like I told you, I had a rough morning from my conflict that I had last night, and then it manifested in my dreams where I had a rough, things like I'm planning to go away in the summertime. Then yesterday I was changing my mind. I'm going to volunteer somewhere, and then I was changing my mind for no reason, like it's dangerous and all this kind of craziness. So I had it manifested in my dream life. So I just have to keep repeating it, and so I could believe what I'm saying. So that's where I am right now.
Okay. So watch how God acted. You decided you want to change your mind. And like you said something is dangerous, right? So I am Ronette. I am God. So God is Ronette. Ronette said it's dangerous. God said it's dangerous. So then why do you think you had I'll just say it this way. Why do you think you had a nightmare?
Yeah, I know.
What do you think is going to happen? Right? So when you have something, right? When you have let's just say you have a business, right? Or let's just say you have a vacation. Let's say you have a thing. You have two ways to think about anything: the good or the bad, the right or the wrong, the success or the failure. Which one did you pick?
Yeah, I see. That's what happened. I picked it. My voice picked the good, but my mind didn't, and so that's where the problem came in at.
Right. So right, and so your mind is coming from your concept of yourself. What is danger? To who? Danger to who? Where can God go that God should be scared of? What alley is too dark? Right. So then, how is it? Then how can something be dangerous for you?
Yeah.
You are God. You are that being. That being. When we say God, we are talking about consciousness, right? We're not talking about a body. We're not talking about we're not talking about a male or a female. We're talking about an awareness of being, a consciousness that's eternal. Male and female are only attached to a physical thing, right? So we have what they call a gender. So they say male or female to separate one from the other, because human means male and female. It doesn't mean male. Human means male and female. They mean both. So when you're talking to, that's what they called it. So then when they were talking to a person, they said, okay, we need to say female, because we need to separate one from the other. Because if we say human, we're talking to both. That's historically, etymologically true. So what I'm saying is that if God is something, if it's not dangerous for God, it's not dangerous for you. But it is dangerous for you if you don't know who you are. You shouldn't do that. Right? So then our concept of danger and safety is not really based on danger and safety itself. It's based on our filtration of danger and safety through our concept of ourselves, who we're believing to be, who's talking here. Right? There's you watch every right, you watch every like crime movie, and it's crime, and there's always the gangster in the neighborhood living up lavish in the ghetto, living all through the crime. Everybody says it's dangerous to go up in there, and you go in that person's house and they got steak and wine and they eating filet mignon and they up in the hood, right? There, to them, it's not dangerous. So my point is, our concept of danger and safety is a reflection of who we believe we are, right? And so based on who we're believing we are, we call something dangerous or safe, right? So then when we and then we say, okay, well, if this is dangerous, well, yeah, it doesn't matter what you say because you're believing something else. You're believing. So then it's not really this that you have a problem with. It's who you are that you have a problem with. You don't believe you're safe. You believe something can happen to you. But what does that highest mind in flesh say? Jesus, right? That's what the personification was. That highest mind says, no man takes my life from me. I have the power to lay it down and take it up again. That is the power my Father in heaven has given me. The power, my Father, the power I am in me, in you. I am is in you, and the I am in you is powerful. So powerful that nothing from the outside can do anything to it. Nothing. So fear is not natural because fear does not naturally lie internally. It is something that people get and say and apply, and they say, oh gosh, I'm scared. That thing scared me. But that thing doesn't scare everybody. There's no thing that scares everybody. So then that means it's personal. It's not a law. So if it's not a law, it doesn't matter. So if it's not a law, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, you can change it. You can choose to be something else. So now, whatever that thing is, you can say, I'm no longer going to pay attention to that, just like we talked about with Leslie. I'm no longer going to answer this phone. I'm now going to be talking to this person, right? Safety, right? Security, right? I'm secure. I'm safe. Everywhere I go, I'm secure and I'm safe. That is an inside job. Fear is an inside job. Safety is an inside job. Right? Those are things that you're creating from the inside. We blame external things, but they can't do anything to you if you don't choose that. They can't. Everybody's not afraid of guns. Everybody's not afraid of dogs. Everybody's not afraid of jumping off buildings and jumping off rocks. People do all kind of stuff that the next person would be terrified to do. Well, but the thing itself is neutral. It's how we perceive it, and our perception is based on our self-concept. Our self-concept, who we believe. When you say Ronette, what does that mean to you? Right? Ronette should mean God is Ronette. And whatever God is, I am. And if God ain't, I ain't. If God is, I am. If God has, I have. If God don't have, I don't have. And so you condition your mind with that. Over and over and over. The only reason you believe this is because of conditioning. You're like we talked about on the call. We're not crazy. We're just conditioned. We're not crazy. We're just conditioned. There ain't nothing wrong with anybody here. We've just been conditioned to believe there is. We've been conditioned to believe that there's struggle. We've been conditioned to believe that you got to work hard. We've been conditioned to believe that you have to be sick. We've been conditioned to believe all of these nightmares. We've been conditioned to believe all these hardships. It's not that they're true, that they're real, that they're natural, that there's any value in them. You know, there's what do they say? There's no progress without struggle. Well, guess what? Now everybody's got struggle, and they attach progress with struggle. So then people assume that struggle goes with it. So then guess what? You welcome struggle as much as you do progress because you want to get progress so much, you'll take that with you. It's like Tina having to accept Ike. It ain't. Well, he's a good musician. What the hell does I got to do with anything? I don't want the other part. That overrode the music. I'm good. What's love got to do with it? You can take these boots to your face. I'm out the limo and I'm out. Only she's remembered. Only your dreams are going to be remembered. All the nightmares that you say, all the nightmares that you take and say, this is the reason why I didn't, you won't even remember why you didn't. It won't matter. All you remember is whether you did it or not. All you'll have is your dreams and whether you did them or not. So guess what? The nightmare won't be your nightmare. The nightmare that you say stops you from reaching your dream, that won't be the nightmare. The nightmare you'll have is not having your dream. That's going to be your nightmare. You ain't had a nightmare yet. You'll get one if you don't reach your dream, if you don't do what you know you're supposed to be doing. Then you'll have a real nightmare because you'll have something that you can't fix. You'll be 99 wishing you could have been a sprinter, right? Or wishing you could have been a this. It'll be too late. People say, oh, it's never too late. Try to go back to 5th grade. Knock on the elementary door and say, you work at a school, tell them, you know what? I quit this job. I want to be in 5th grade. Where's my seat? Yeah, they're going to give you a seat in the back of the police car. It is too late for some things, y'all. Let's just tell the truth here, right? So I'm saying the thing that we're saying is stopping us from our desire. That's not going to be the nightmare. The nightmare is going to be the fact that you didn't achieve what you wanted. That's going to be the nightmare, right? Everything else is just an illusion. It's a mirage. It's not real, but we believe it's real. That's why our beliefs are so important, because that's what we're acting on. Not what you said, like you said. So you're acting on what you believe. So then how do you change a belief? The same way you got the one you're about to get rid of. Repetition. Introduce a new relationship. Stop answering the phone over there. Stop calling the dude back. Stop replying. Don't even say, don't call me anymore. Just block them. Every time they show up, just delete the message. Don't even entertain it. Entertain only this new relationship. Only the new, all of your effort, all of your time, everything. If you're not going to stick with that cat, don't stick with anything that comes with it, right? If you're not going to stick with that, if you don't want that feeling, don't stick with any thoughts that go with it. Change your thought. Introduce something new, a new relationship, a new thought, right? All right. Yes. Yes, but I asked if Abigail was here because I wanted to ask her a question.
Abigail, can you come off mute? Are you able to?
Because I wanted to ask her a question.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's no worry. We wanted to answer your question. All right, so Abigail, what are you asking me?
I'm asking, where do I start with the mind journey? Because what I'm noticing, I literally said this yesterday about I'm conditioned to believe this way. And I need to start somewhere because it's been overwhelming to get like material or just to think, okay, I've been writing down every one of my limiting beliefs, and it's so many that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I felt stuck yesterday. I literally felt stuck.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay. So you want to change your mind. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I want a paradigm shift.
Okay. All right. So you want a paradigm shift. If you got a paradigm shift, what would you say?
If I got it?
Yes.
What would I say about it?
Yeah. What would you say? How would you feel? What would you say? If you got
what would my thinking be?
Yeah, if you got what you wanted, then because right now you're able to describe what you have and what you don't like. So that's good because now it makes you aware of what you want, and you want something because how it's going to make you feel. You're going to get something from it. So you said, I want a paradigm shift. What are you going to get from having a paradigm shift? What are you really wanting? What are you going to get from it?
A new way of reacting to life.
Okay. Okay.
So
okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead. I really want to listen.
No, you want a new way. You want a new way of living.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you want. You want a new way of living. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if you had a new way of living, what would you say? How would you describe that? Meaning, like, man, I have a new way of living. Like, if you got a new way of living, how would that make you feel? What would you say?
I would say, like, I feel good. I
Okay.
look good.
Oh, okay, so let me.
Um,
Okay, when you let's just say let's just say you saw some. You were walking in the mall and you saw some shoes you really liked in the store, right? You were just walking the mall and there were some shoes in the glass and you saw them and they were like, ooh, right? You were like, oh, I
yes,
have to have those. Okay. Do you see how when you saw those shoes, it created a natural reaction, right? You'd be like,
yes.
oh God, I have those. Okay. You have a new way of living. What is your reaction to that?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
There you go. So listen to what I'm saying to you. What you just said. Okay. So everybody pay attention to this. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. You can get to the same end going two different ways.
Mm.
You said, oh my God, right? Oh my God, let's go, right? Something like that. What I'm
Yes.
saying to you is that is 5. That is you're saying that 5 is your answer. That is your answer. Oh my God, let's go. So what I'm
Yes.
saying to you is you can use oh my God, let's go to get to 5, to meaning now you are now in 5. It means you are now saying what you would be saying if you got what you wanted. So now what you're doing is you're saying that you got what you wanted. So you're now in the state of having it and you're describing the state you're in. So you're in the state of you're living new. You're now in the state of new way of living. You are describing where you live. So if you were to walk around, drive around, like Ronette said, get a Parrot app. Get the Parrot app on your phone. I use it just because, like I said, you can put it in your own voice and you can loop it over and over and over. Go to sleep with it. Ride around your car with it. What I'm saying is, when you do that, oh my God, let's go. You are saying, I have a new way of living. This statement is the end result of this equation. New way of living is just an equation, but you don't care about the equation as long as you're only doing it to get the answer. So you can start with the answer that will lead you to the equation. Oh my God, let's go. Right?
Yes.
Right? Oh my God, let's go. Everything that implies to you and infers to you and means to you, whether that's everything you consciously know and everything you unconsciously know, meaning everything that reflects that in your physical world will be brought to you because you're in that state of mind now. So you don't have to go through every little thing. You only say, oh my God, let's go. Man, I'm out here. I am doing it. And you say it over and over and over. And every time, like Leslie was saying, and to a certain degree, Renette, but especially Leslie, when you have a thought that says, oh, the old you comes back, knocking on the door, like the old boyfriend, like, hey,
Are you up?
are you up? Right? Are you there? Hey, how you been? Right? No, you just don't answer that phone. You start saying, no, I got a man now, or I got a new job now. You start saying, I got a new mind now. Oh my God, let's go. You know you're not gonna make it. You know you scared of this. You know that job ain't gonna. Oh my God, let's go. I'm out here.
Oh,
Everything is
I love
working for me,
that.
right?
I love that.
Every time, because that statement implies that is like the billboard to the state you live in. You're now entering this. You are saying that I'm in this state. This, oh my God, let's go is a state where you're living in. So everything in that state is going to reflect that. Oh my God, let's go. That may mean for you more money. It may mean for you relationships. Everything it means is implied and inferred in that statement. So you don't have to itemize it. You just literally, it's already there in the state. That's why I'm not a big cold fan. So I don't live in New York because I know certain parts of the year gets cold. I can't live in that state and be mad it's cold.
Right.
I would have to live in California or maybe Florida where it's warmer more year round. So I don't have to create the weather. You don't have to create all the circumstances of, oh my God, let's go. That is a state that has everything in it that is good for you.
Thank you. I get it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Justin.
Yes, sir. Justin.
Coach Lucky, my main man.
Yes, go. What's up, man?
Jeremiah, you wanted to say hi? Say hi, Coach Lucky.
Yes, sir. How you
I know
doing, my good man?
I know we missed you guys a couple weeks. It's been really busy, but I just wanted to real quick before I head out of this thing.
Yes.
You said something about like, block them, right? Those type of people that just aren't aligning and bringing negative energy. This was something that me and Cynthia had to really work through. I really wish she was on this to kind of give her feedback, but there was a time when we was like really going through it like a year and a half ago where like if it just wasn't edifying or contributing, even as my wife, I had a blocker. Like it got that real. Where like, no, I can't have that affect me, the way it is. So I'm just not even gonna participate in it. And that was like some serious stuff that we had to work through. But yeah, I 100% agree. Like, certain people are like vampires, and they're sucking your energy, they're sucking your positivity. And, at some point we all have to put our foot down with those that are closest to us for them to understand, that this is life or death for me, right? Like it may be an opinion to you and a negative opinion, but like where I'm at right now is it's life or death. And I need people to feed me life rather than what I'm already struggling with. You know what I'm saying? Even shout out to my auntie, my aunt Sharon. She's been with us for a year now. We're her caretakers. And it was a lot of like friction in the beginning because, there was just certain, standards and things that I live by now that like I don't care who you are, you gotta draw the line on this in the sand. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Well, guess what? This for all of us. Guess what? Do you know what the line drawn in the sand is? Do you know what the
go ahead.
line draw? There's a line drawn in the sand. We just don't realize it. Do you know what the line drawn in the sand is? Because I know you got to go, and I know it's getting late. The line drawn is
Break it down.
the line in the line in the sand that we draw is your name. It means, guess what? That's the line drawn. I'm not you. You're not me. You can be married. That doesn't matter. You can have the same last name. You don't have the same first name. There's a line drawn in the sand. You are always an individual. You're always an individual. It doesn't matter what part of a group you're in. And yes, it's great to be an individual and it's great to be part of a group. And you have to know if you want to be successful in life, meaning happy, healthy, whole, if you want to have that experience of when and where to draw the line of your individuality and then your group think or group participation. You have a right, to be wrong, and to be you. And you have a responsibility to be that. And everybody has a name. There's a reason why we all have different names. There's a reason for it because it is a reflection of our divinity. We're all individualized no matter how close we are. We're all individualized in our awareness of being. Because even though we're all one at the end, we're all having individualized experiences that we bring into the one. So we're all on this this ride at the fair, right? On all these different seats. So yeah, we're all one at the top, but this is a very individualized experience. Everybody in these chairs are having different experiences. Some people are screaming, some people are crying, some people are yelling, some people can't wait to get off. Somebody like me, the last time I went on one of these, I was in high school and threw up all on my new outfit. Right? Got me a brand new outfit on Friday night. I was cracking. I thought I had me a little Carl Kanai jean outfit. I'm upset still. And got off the thing, man, took 2 steps, and boy, it was over. Oh, it was over. I haven't been on one since, right? But my point is that we were all on this ride together, but we're all having very different individualized experiences. We're here to have an individualized experience. Your name, just the fact that your name is different than everyone else, lets you know that there's only so much you can combine. And there's only so much you should. And you have a right to have the experience you want. You also have the responsibility too, right? So you're absolutely right. You have to draw the line because the line is already drawn. So you're not even really drawing it. You're just acknowledging that there is a line and saying, this is now, I'm not drawing a line. I didn't name you Cynthia. I'm Justin. I didn't name you, so-and-so. I'm Justin. But we are separate at some point because that's why we have different names. So there's a line already drawn, and I'm telling you, you crossing it, or I'm not willing to cross it out. So just like the freeway, there's a line. None of us drew them, but we all, for safety, are within them, right? Yes, sir.
Shout out to Monique, the coach. She said my block game is strong these days.
That's
And
it.
yeah, me too. Right? Like, man, coach, like I appreciate you, man. And I know we've been really busy the past couple weekends, but you know, I definitely would love to get together with you soon. Maybe we could do something, you know, some type of podcast interview or class or whatever. Also, I would like to just say before I hop off, there's a huge opportunity for all of us creatives, all of us in the e-commerce space. I know that's, you know, that falls under Vero's thing, but TikTok Shop has now have an affiliate program where it makes it so easy for creators to start earning income online. And that's something I just wanted to put out there because, you know, I made my first $16 in a week. It's not a lot of money, but it's the best $16 I made because I'm promoting products that I already use and love and getting them for free now as a TikTok Shop affiliate and, you know, unlimited potential. So,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Man, well, it's definitely good to see you. You know, I'm always glad that all of you are here, and I always want you to come every week. But I know we have lives and things to do. We got kids, we got games, we got significant others, we got all kind of things we're doing. So whenever you can come. But we have the replays out because everyone can't always come, right? But I'm always glad to see all of you individually and collectively. So in this case, Justin, and please tell Cynthia we said hello. You know, it's always good to see you. Happy birthday as well, and all that good stuff for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna put my TikTok in the chat. You know, follow me. I'm gonna start doing live streams, just what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. If anybody has any questions, I'm not hard to get a hold of. Reach out to Vero, content creating realtor on TikTok and Instagram. And Coach Lucky, I value you, man. I get the replays anyways, and you know, just glad that I got to hop on today because that really resonated with where I was at once upon a time. So I hope what I shared, you know, helps somebody out there. And you know, we're right behind you, always supporting you. And yeah, Jeremiah say bye. We going out having fun.
Bye. Have fun. Awesome.
All right. Appreciate
you. Peace. All right. Yes, so I know it's 9. I just want to make sure anybody had anything else they wanted to say before I let you go. To have a wonderful day and weekend.
Just thank you, Coach.
My pleasure, always, always. My honor and pleasure.
Thanks, Coach. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're all here.
Thank you.
Thanks a million, Coach.
Oh, wonderful.
We appreciate your insight.
Yeah, thank you. You always leave me with tears in my eyes.
So I just want to share.
Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure.
I just want to share real quick for those of you who don't know, we have a club and we meet weekly, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So if you guys are, you know, wanting a little bit more of this is what we do. And it's been really fun. There's a few of us on the club that have really been just really enjoying it. So, you know, there it is. I put the link in the chat, and you know, even if you don't join, that's okay. We have the replays for Saturdays on the Mental Academy website. Subscribe for the emails so that way you get the emails when we go live. And we're gonna keep doing these Saturdays, so you guys are all welcome to still come through.
Well, wonderful. Hey, have a happy day today. Great Saturday. Have a great week. I'll see some of you during the week. The rest of you, I'll see you next Saturday. Have a great week. Have a great day. And we'll catch up soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Peace.